I'm going to let Toby from the Free Speech Union tell us what the online safety bill is. Tobes.
So, Lawrence, it began life as the Online Harms White Paper, which was unveiled by Sajid Javid when he was Home Secretary in 2019 under Theresa May. And he boasted, when unveiling this plan to regulate the internet, that it would make Britain the safest place in the world to go online, which is code for the most regulated place in the world if you want to set up an internet company, which doesn't sit very well with a kind of vision of Britain's post-Brexit future as being less strangled by red tape than we used to be. But anyway, putting that aside, they've now rebranded it, not the Online Harms Bill, but the Online Safety Bill, because as I'm sure you are more than familiar, it is in the name of safety that our liberties are constantly being eroded, and this is no exception. So one of the things the bill will do is introduce a new harmful communications offence. It'll replace some of the existing communications offences in England and Wales, but not in Scotland and Northern Ireland. It's a layer of complexity. It will mean that you can be prosecuted and, if found guilty, spend up to 2 years in jail if you're guilty of sending a communication, i.e. tweeting something, putting something on Facebook, which causes someone psychological harm, described as extreme distress. Now, there's no clinical test.
Very specific.
It sounds very subjective, and my worry is that this will be a Trojan horse to smuggle subjective definitions of harm into the criminal justice system. Now so internet companies will be tasked by Ofcom, search engines, big tech, platforms like Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, with removing unlawful content under this new harmful communications offence definition of what is harmful. But in addition, and this is where it gets really sinister, Nadine Dorries is going to pass a statutory instrument, a secondary piece of legislation after the Online Harms Bill has been passed, identifying priority content that social media platforms will be under an obligation to remove with particular priority. And if they fail to do that, this is one of the sinister and worrying things about the bill, Ofcom will have the power to fine social media companies, search engines, up to 10% of their annual global turnover. I don't know what was in your case, Jason, but in the case of Facebook, that's over $10 billion if they get it wrong. And in this statutory instrument, Nadine Dorries is planning to identify what's notoriously become known as legal but harmful content. So content, I mean, it's one thing wanting to prohibit content that's lawful but harmful to children, such as, websites encouraging children to self-harm, become anorexic, commit suicide, and so forth. That, I think, none of us have got a problem with that. But they also want to remove legal but harmful content that's harmful to adults. And already it's been suggested by Nadine Dorries herself that this will include harassment. And we all know that harassment can be very, very, very broadly defined by political activists to shut down any speech they find even remotely disagreeable. But it's likely it'll also include hate speech and misinformation. And as we know, the big tech companies described anyone speculating about the COVID-19 originating in the Wuhan Institute of Virology as misinformation. We're not so sure that is misinformation now. But in addition, hate speech is an incredibly broad category which can easily be weaponized by political activists.
Would calling it flu be hate speech?
Probably would, yeah. You'd probably get banned from Twitter under this new legislation for that, yes. Yeah, your future on social media does not look bright if the online safety bill becomes law.
My future on social media is not looking bright at the moment. My present on
just to finish, just on, it may be that you don't think Nadine Dorries will be too censorious when it comes to identifying legal but harmful to adults content in the statutory instrument that's passed after this bill. But the real hostage to fortune in this bill is that future Secretaries of State at the Department for Culture, Media and Sport will also have the opportunity to bring forward statutory instruments and identify priority harms that these social media companies have to remove on pain of being fined 10% of their annual global turnover. And even if you trust Nadine, and I'm not sure I do, I certainly don't trust Chris Bryant or Dawn Butler, if they are future Secretaries of State at DCMS, to get this right, not use it, not weaponise it for their own political purposes.